It's Tracy with some fun facts from Sherwood. The last time we talked about the Keweenaw Peninsula and the copper mines up there, I failed to tell you that during the mining operations, the commercial mining operations, that actually went from 1844 to 1969, when all commercial mining was stopped, there was actually 12 billion pounds of copper that had been mined out of the Keweenaw Peninsula. It's a lot of copper. As far back as 7,000 years ago, from the Keweenaw region, native peoples were using bracelets, beads, tools, fish hooks, and other items for trade because carbon dating is amazing. 10,000 years ago, glaciers were across Michigan that were thought to be over 6,000 feet thick, which, if you think about it, that's 1,500 feet thicker than a mile. Wow. There have been several glaciers, but the most recent one was the Laurentide, and that was the one that receded 10,000 years ago. So now we're going to talk about Lake Superior and what makes Lake Superior so amazing and superior. The fact that in its deepest depths is 1,333 foot deep. The average depth of Lake Superior is 483 foot deep. It is actually the largest freshwater lake in the world as far as surface area. It's third largest in the world by volume. So there are a couple lakes that are a little bit bigger than that because it holds more water. But still, I set up a little display here. So if we were to stretch out the shoreline of Lake Superior, it's actually 2,726 miles. So if we were to go all the way up to the Keweenaw Peninsula, very, very top of Michigan, we could go to Aruba and still have about 75 miles left to spare beyond that. That's how vast the shoreline of Lake Superior is if we were to stretch it out. More interestingly, if we were to pull the plug, like a bathtub on Lake Superior, there's enough water in that lake to cover both North America and South America in a foot of water. That's a lot of water. It is 10% of the entire Earth's freshwater is in the Lake Superior. 10%, that's a lot when you consider how big the Earth is. The term Lake Superior, according to the University of Wisconsin, it comes from a French word, and I'm totally going to destroy this. Lac Superior is what the French word is, but you know there's some twisty little curls in there. But that means the upper lake because it is north of Lake Huron. The Ojibwe said that the lake was protected by Nanajibu, the spirit of the deep seawater, which is very interesting. I love that. The size, the volume of the water in the lake is 2,903 cubic miles. It holds, like I said, 10% of all the world's fresh water. Over the past 2 million years, with several ice sheets forming and melting and receding, it carved out the Great Lakes region. The reason that Lake Superior ended up to be more deeper than the rest of the Great Lakes is because, as we said before, there is that the inactive volcano at the bottom of Lake Superior. And what happened when that magma came out of the magma chamber, it necked up through there forming a lava tube. And that happened, it already had an advantage on the other Great Lakes because that was already a deeper point than the other ones, obviously, because there's a volcano under it. So what happens when the glaciers came down was they carved out those Great Lakes. They carved out all of the landscape that we see around Michigan. A lot of that was formed by the geological changes, the glaciers. And so after a few times of getting carved out like that and then receding, the lakes filled up and that's how we got that. But as I said before, Lake Superior is the deepest at 1,333 feet deep. There have been recorded 350 shipwrecks in Lake Superior, and over 10,000 lives have been lost in Lake Superior. And that's the lake that never gives up her dead. And the Ojibwe also gave her the name of Gitchigumi, which is just another name for Lake Superior. The most well-known shipwreck in at least in my lifetime, would be the Edmunds Fitzgerald. It sank in November 10th of 1975 from the gales of November. And there's actually a song about that. Gordon Lightfoot wrote a song. And if you listen to it, it talks about how the 29 crew members died. No bodies were ever recovered from that. They were 15 miles from Whitefish Point, Whitefish Bay. If you've ever been up there, it's a beautiful place to be. There's so many different rocks. So now we're going to talk about agates versus jasper. So if you don't know what an agate is, agates were formed, these little lines through there were formed when the copper gives the agates its color. So the reason that there is a difference between jasper and agates, because they're very similar, very, very similar. The agates actually have a quartz vein in them, and that differentiates them from the jasper, from like the picture jasper we have here. There's no transparent quartz vein in there, whereas if you hold it up to the light, you can see veining through rocks, and that's the good old-fashioned way to tell an agate apart from a jasper. Just look up at the light. If you can see a little transparency through it, you got an agate. If not, you got you a jasper. So I've also got sea glass that I collected years ago up off of Lake Superior. But if you think about it, there's a lot of ships that have gone down. So there's a lot of treasures out there floating around. Lake Superior actually has its own tide. Although it's very, very small, it's still considered its own tide, so that's kind of cool. Isle Royal up there, our state gem is the greenstone, and this is not a very good sample of the greenstone, but nevertheless, it's the state gem. Here again, we talked about the conglomerate rocks from up there, and I just brought in a few more for you to see. And this is a rock that was found, and I don't think I found this one up north, but this is one that I found down here. And this is just kind of a sample of what happens to these rocks when they go through the glaciers. They get rolled around until they're all rounded and they become spherical almost, from their journey from the Great North down to here. But there's so many different things with the formations, rock formations, the different types of rocks. If you ever get the chance to go to Lake Superior and check out the great finds around it, there's so many cool things up there. And we're going to talk about a lot of the different things next time. I'd like to jump around, talk about the Tequamanon Falls, Petoskey. We're going to find out where Petoskey stones come from, what they are, and how they became to be, the one of our state recognized rocks. But until next time, it was great to see all of you. Thanks for stopping by to see it. Have a great day.